Hey everybody, welcome to the studio of Carini Arts. Check out cariniarts.com for my shop, my blog, my podcast, and so much more. I am doing some fun things on some of the other social platforms right now, so I would love for you to join me on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram. I'm doing something really fun on Instagram where a number of my original audios are taking off and trending. I think I had like 3 trend in the past month alone. And so I would love for you to try my artist audios, and there's a chance that I may share it, but it's just a fun way to share my thoughts about the artistic journey and provide some of the content that I couldn't find that I thought would be fun or helpful. And it seems like other artists are enjoying it too. So I get to support other artists by helping provide them content, sharing their stuff while they use my audios and help me grow. So hey, other artists are not your competition. They are your allies and your advocates. So today's topic is kind of a loaded one, and there's a million different directions I could go for this. We could probably talk about this for hours, and I promise not to. I'll keep this short-ish and brief. But I wanted to at least concisely dive into the conversation of, is it difficult to be an artist? And on one hand, it's the easiest thing in the world because it's who I am. It's what I was put on this earth to do. And I think in the case of many, it's what we were put on this earth to do. I think that many of us, most of us, if not all of us in some capacity, are born artists. I think what happens is that life conditions it out of us. So the question is how long and how hard are you willing to fight before you allow life to strip you of your dream? So I think that there's much more that we can cover on the flip side of this, and the difficulties of being an artist, because it is difficult. And I think, and before I proceed further, I want to say it is very difficult, but it is absolutely fucking worth it, because to live your calling, to live your purpose, to live your dream, particularly a dream that everybody is going to try to tell you is impossible, it's a special thing. It really, really is, and it opens up the doors for so many others in showing them that, hey, it really is true that things are only impossible until you prove everybody wrong and that it is possible. But I think that the difficulty is that I think a lot of people in our culture, particularly people that are kind of younger, that are coming up, that are wanting to get started with these things and starting to look at their dreams and the tangibility of them, they will look to the people that they perceive to be successful. And in many cases, these are people that come across in a sense as influencers. And so a lot of times what influencers are going to show is the successes and the glories, and not talk about the struggles. Because what happens is, a lot of times you start talking about struggles, people are like, why are you being negative? People don't want negativity, positive vibes only. And that's a bunch of bullshit, because in order to have anything positive, you have to acknowledge the negative and navigate your way through that. And sometimes you're going to have to navigate yourself through that again and again and again, which is another thing that I really want to touch upon, because I am somebody that does this full time for a living. And I have had some, I believe, great successes, but I still have my struggles and my periods where things don't even stay level, where things kind of go like that. And it's not necessarily, when it comes to being an artist, that you're doing anything wrong. There are a unique set of variables and obstacles that we have to face as artists. So let's share a little story. So back in November, I had a fantastic month. I shattered records at the gallery in terms of sales, and it generated enough resources to float me for probably over a quarter. Now, I'm a person that has built my model off of minimizing overhead, living a very simple life. I paid off my student loans 10 years early with the money I made off my art. I drive an old beat up car. I wear the same clothes every day. I don't do anything fancy, anything like that. No credit cards. But cost of living is getting harder and harder to deal with and to combat, because I feel like a lot of small businesses are kind of being pushed out, and we don't have the opportunities that these big corporate businesses have. We don't have the push of that. We don't have the visibility of that. We don't have the infrastructure to do the things that they can do, because they have people that specialize in marketing and specialize in this and that. And when you're a small business, a one-person business, a lot of times that all falls upon you. And how many artists out there are business savvy? And I think that that's really the downfall of so many, is that they haven't cultivated the business side of things. And when I first got out of school, I recognized my deficiencies there. And so I went into sales so I could learn how to sell and market myself. And I tried to fill in the gaps, the areas where I felt like I really fell short, while at the same time trying to strengthen the areas that I felt really set me apart. But so going back to what I was saying is that November, I had this fantastic month. But the past 6 months, it's kind of been like this. Now, I've talked to other artists, I've talked to galleries, and they're talking and mentioning a lot of the same obstacles and the same struggles. Now, that doesn't mean that that's an excuse because there is always money out there. There are always people looking to invest into buy art and things like that. So what that tells me is that I need to be a little bit more creative in the way that I find a solution to my current dilemma. So does it suck when you have periods like this? Absolutely, it sucks. But for me, and this is where I talk about the starving artist mentality and how I see it as a positive, because what happens is when I'm in that starving mode, it actually, that hunger, it increases my drive and my desire to find a way to make it work, because for me, there's no backup plan, there's no alternative. It's this or die. And because I have that mentality, I feel like that's one of the keys to my success, is that I'm willing to struggle, I'm willing to sacrifice. There were periods in my life where I ate one meal a day and where I conceded on things that other people do because I knew that this was the most important thing to me. So what it's going to come down to in many cases potentially is how bad you want this in relation to how bad you want comfort, and how bad you want that relationship, and how much you want that car, and how much you want that house, and how much you want to have nice clothes, and how much you want this jewelry, and how much you want to buy this or that, versus in comparison how much you want to pursue your calling, your purpose, your dream. And for me, I know that this is what I was put on this earth to do, to pursue my artistic endeavors and to share them, to open up the doors of possibility for others trying to find their own voice and their own dream, and to show them that the impossible is possible. But it's rough a lot of times, and there are a lot of struggles. And like I mentioned, sometimes people don't want to hear about that. But I I think set myself apart because I do talk about those things, even though some people don't want to hear, because I think it's important. And I think that also ties in with the fact that it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and the same kind of struggles and principles that I have learned in that area have applied to the art. So when I have my periods where I'm feeling down or I'm struggling or I'm anxious and I don't want to get out, I know sometimes that it's going to come down to me in myself, me alone, to work my way through that. But I know that if I want to work through that, I'm going to have to hold on and I'm going to have to endure. And sometimes on some days, I may not be able to make the progress that I want, but I know that I need to hold on to get to the next day so that I can have a fighting chance to maybe find my growth and to rise on that day. So sometimes your progress is going to be just the fact that you are holding on. But that's an important thing when it comes to art, because I feel like a big part of my success is that along the journey, I have seen so many people quit. And I remember when I was in school, one of the statistics I heard was that 5 years after art school, only 5% of people are still making art. And I don't even think it's 5%. I think it's lower than that. But as all these people quit, and it's sad, I don't want them to quit. I want to see people succeed. I'm not hoping for people to be less. I want people to be their very best, and I want to have to rise up. So never ask for people to be less. Push yourself to be more. But sadly, people will quit. But as they do, if you're that person that endures and keeps going, you can absolutely make it work. But you're going to have to endure and you're going to have to hold on. Now, how long? Till you get to the other side. I like to say that loss is always just a step away from found, and we never really know how close we are. But if you hold on the other side, is everything that you've ever dreamed of. But you're going to have to push, you're going to have to make sacrifices. And there's all the excuses in the world of why you can't do it. But you need to find the one reason why you can, because you absolutely can. But you're going to have to acknowledge that we do make so many bullshit excuses, and that there are ways that we can circumnavigate it if we are willing to be creative in the pursuit of our dream. But if anybody can find that creativity, it's an artist. So the artist dream, 100% possible. Very difficult, but possible. And the other thing I want to just briefly touch upon is that I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and they said, "Hey, can I send you some work? I want you to tell me if it's good enough, because I'm not really sure if it's good enough for me to do this for a living." And so I looked at the work, and I got back to them and I said, "It is absolutely good enough, but I want you to think about this. It's never about being good enough. It's about your willingness to keep going and to fight through." Because I've seen a lot of artists with their technical abilities maybe here, that had the drive and the willingness to fight through the obstacles, and I've seen them make it happen. And conversely, I've seen artists with a talent level up here that didn't have the drive or the passion. And when things got hard, because they always relied on talent alone, they weren't willing to push through and to endure and to make it happen. And so then they ended up quitting. And so the person that maybe had the slightly less technical ability in some areas made it work. So don't worry if you're good enough. You can make it happen and you can navigate all of these things. There's always a way to make it happen if you're willing to do the work and to find the solution. So, very difficult to be an artist, but very, very fucking worth it because I live my dream. I do what I was put on this earth to do. And I am happier as an artist in my greatest struggles than I was living the life that wasn't meant for me in my greatest successes, because those greatest successes were failures because it wasn't who I was meant to be. It was just an illusion of success. So, just my thoughts. I want to kind of cut this off because I don't want to go too long and drone on. But join all my other artist talks. You can check out the other things that I talk about on my page. Maybe give me a like, give me a share, tell people about me, help me grow my YouTube page because I suck here. But again, I put in the work and I put the content out there because someday, mark my words, people are going to flock to my page, or maybe like a couple. Like, so what's a smaller version of a flock? Maybe a few people will stumble to my page. But hey, I do it for the person that stumbles across my page on a Thursday night at 3 a.m. that needs a reason to keep going. So that's why I do it. I do it for all the right reasons. And that's why I'm confident that it's going to work out if I just keep putting in the work. Have a good day, CariniArts.com.